I want to thank you for allowing me to honor my friend, Pat. I wrote something, but I'm a little verbose. But we wanted to be able to frame it. And so I tried to boil everything that I think about my friend down just to a few sentences, which is impossible to do if you know Pat. But here's what I wrote. There is not one man who walks the earth today that has made a greater impact on my life than my friend Pat. The Lord may have saved me, but Pat made the introduction. Because Pat was a good and faithful saint and a brother, I saw the Lord in him and his family. It really isn't a small task to be my friend. In some ways, it still isn't. But the atonement of Jesus Christ is real, and so is my friend Pat. Pat, I love you, and I am honored to know you, and it is about time that somebody recognizes you for all of the things that you have done, the smallest of which is being my Aaron and holding my arms up for so long. God bless you, Pat.
This is beautiful and overwhelming and very humbling, and thank you so much. I was trying to think. The cat was let out of the bag, I guess, earlier this week. Apparently, this has been in the works for a long time, and Glenn said nothing, and my wife said nothing, and they've been working behind the scenes. And then I was doing an interview about coming to this event with Rod Arquette this week, and he started the interview off with, here's a man who's being honored this weekend at the Eagle Forum Conference. And I'm like, where is a man who's being honored by the, who? Wow. So anyway, the cat was, I was doing the interview at my house because his show comes on at 7 o'clock our time, or that's at least what he had me on. And I walked into the kitchen where, of course, my wife is kept because that's where I keep her. And I said, to her, Rod Arquette just said something weird about an award or something. Is that weird? She's like, he let the cat out of the bag. We've been working on that for a year. So ever since then, I've been trying to figure out what in the world could I be awarded for? I've done almost nothing in my life. How is this possible? So it's very nice. Being Glenn's friend, he exaggerates. It's not that difficult. He too has been a wonderful friend to me. It's always been a reciprocal relationship, and I've learned as much from him as he's learned from me. And the change brought about in Glenn once he accepted the gospel of Jesus Christ is nothing short of miraculous. And while I didn't think he was that bad of a guy before, not as bad as he's always led on to be, the total transformation in his life, he went from a man who didn't like or respect himself or most other people to a man who loves everyone and genuinely cares about anyone. So the credit goes to the Lord and to Glenn for accepting that transformation. But as I look at that video, I think about back on some of the times when we weren't doing what we're doing now. We were doing much more important work, like tricking people into believing there was a fully air-conditioned underground amusement park being built in Baltimore, Maryland, with an underground roller coaster that went 265 miles an hour, and we went to the extent of buying radio advertising on our competitor's radio station to advertise the fact that this underground amusement park was being built in Baltimore, and they ran the ads. And so for about a month before, we planned to broadcast live from the grand opening of the world's first fully air-conditioned underground amusement park. There are competitors playing these commercials. And so the day we opened up, we actually went to the expense and the effort of going to an amusement park, the biggest one that was close to us, which was it was in Cincinnati. I don't remember. Great America. And we rode all the roller coasters so that we would have the sound effects, and we interviewed people about the rides and asked them how great it was. Had you ever seen anything like this? And then later in editing, we added other things that we said that they responded to, and it was so by the time we went on the air, we had a pretty good facsimile for an opening of an underground amusement park. People were calling our radio show asking us how to get there because we had directions leading up to the event where you would call this number and it would give you the directions. And this was in a time when messages were on tape, and we stretched the tape at the important part. So you take the Baltimore Beltway around until you come to the Anne Arundel exit, and then you just take a left, and you're right there. So people were really confused because the tape was all messed up. So all day long on the day that we were broadcasting live, people were calling us, now how do I get there? And we would tell them to take the Baltimore Beltway and just look for the giant mound of dirt, because it was a big underground amusement park. There was a lot of dirt piled up somewhere out there. And they bought into that. But so that we've gone from that, and we've gone from people who used to call others who had just had surgery, and we called one woman who had to have some kind of work done, and we told her that we'd actually accidentally left we left a sponge inside of her, and she was going to have to come in for extra surgery. And we told another woman that we were going to we accidentally replaced her liver with a calf liver, and it wasn't the right size, so we were going to stop at Kroger on the way home and pick one up and bring her a new one. Then we'd just do the operation at her house. And turns out it's amazing what people will believe when you tell them on the phone. It's yes, so it's our fault Maryland's messed up, and Washington, D.C., and Connecticut. But I look back on those times, and they were good times, and so I don't look back on them at all as a burden, or it was difficult to be his friend, or any of those things. It's been a joy and a privilege and a tremendous ride, and I am again very humble and moved by this. Thank you. Thanks to Gail, thanks to Tim, thanks to everybody involved.